Hey, I'm Emma Garlett, and on today's episode of Paint It Blak, I'll be taking you through two sides of the Voice campaign. We saw a lot of First Nations people say they were going to vote no during the Invasion Day rallies in Perth. So let's look into why. Now join me as I paint it black. As talks around the referendum continue to grow, we are starting to gain some clarity on what the Voice to Parliament is and what we are voting for. In its simplest form, the Voice to Parliament would see a body enshrined in the Constitution which would allow First Nations people to provide advice to Parliament on policies which affect them. When any progress occurs or change is proposed, there are inevitably opposing sides to the argument. But the Voice is a complicated issue because when we look at why people want to vote no, there's more than one side to that argument too. During Invasion Day rallies in Perth, we heard that one part of the No campaign will be to suggest what they believe is a better alternative method or proposal. Despite the division in voting yes or no that we are seeing, everyone deserves their voice to be heard and listened to, despite their differing views. This is a sign of a functioning democracy in action, and seeing different views will allow you to make an informed decision as to how you will personally vote at the referendum. I would urge you to read all you can on this, on arguments on both sides, and make an informed and educated decision. It only takes one person or one side to create a game of whispers, resulting in gossip which is misguided and uninformed. Voting yes would mean including First Nations people in decisions which affect them through enshrining a voice to Parliament. Do I believe this sort of body would have been very useful when it came to the Northern Territory intervention in 2007? Absolutely. And if we had a voice to Parliament, would the decisions and outcome would have been different? Absolutely. Additionally, most First Nations people support the Voice. A recent study conducted by global market research firm Ipsos revealed that 80% of Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people support the Voice. The first part of the no side of the argument includes others who want no change to the status quo. Basically, a part of society that doesn't see the point in allowing First Nations people to have a voice to Parliament, don't support it, and could be voting no out of prejudices. But the other side to the no argument wants to see a treaty instead.
We, right across the country, we say no to a voice to Parliament. That's just another national advisory body. We already have national advisory bodies. There's no mandate, there's no authority. We need to engage in treaty discussions on the ground with Aboriginal people right across this country.
One high-profile no committee, including Country Liberal Party Senator for the NT, Jacinta Price, former Labor Party President Warren Mundine, and former Labor Minister Gary Johns, will campaign against the creation of a voice, but in support of constitutional recognition of First Nations people. Other no campaigners, including those at Perth's Invasion Day rally, are calling for a treaty instead of a voice. It is important to understand that Uluru Statement from the Heart includes a treaty. Voice, treaty and truth in that order. There are many ways a nation can form agreements and consult its First Nations people. We have seen it done differently in Canada and New Zealand than what is being put forward in Australia. Those nations had a treaty with their First Nations groups. But it is important to realise copying and pasting other countries' models may not be the best way forward for Australia. Another key aspect we need to understand is how many times are treaties breached and agreements made are not implemented. So those calling for a standalone treaty need to understand that just because countries have treaties doesn't mean it would work in the way they hope. It is very difficult to get the federal government to support and agree on matters of Indigenous affairs. For us to get this far is a feat in itself. We are working within the bounds of our Westminster system of government, inherited from the English. Trying to make that system inclusive, with all the history and baggage that it brings, is a huge task. In the words of Prime Minister Anthony Albanese,
the first thing is recognition, to recognise in our nation's birth certificate, our constitution, the fact that we live with the oldest continuous culture on earth. That should be a source of great pride.
Thanks for watching Paint It Black with me, Emma Garlett. Don't forget to subscribe so you never miss an episode. Have a good one.